If you're smart enough to understand compound interest, understand the stock market, understand that spending more than you earn is a problem, and you're still broke, this isn't a knowledge problem. You already know what you're supposed to do. That's what makes it so frustrating. And that's exactly what this video is about. Here's the paradox nobody talks about. Intelligence, the very thing that's supposed to give you an advantage in life, can actually work against you when it comes to money. Not because smart people make dumb decisions, but because smart people make very sophisticated, very well-reasoned decisions that happen to be completely wrong. And they do it in ways that are almost impossible to catch from the inside. The first mechanism is called analysis paralysis. Smart people research everything. Before making a financial decision, they read articles, compare options, watch videos, build spreadsheets, and then they read more articles, because the first ones contradicted each other. Meanwhile, the decision never gets made. The perfect index fund never gets chosen, so nothing gets invested. The right budgeting system never gets settled on, so nothing gets tracked. While an average person with half the knowledge picks something reasonable and starts, the smart person is still optimizing. In personal finance, a decent decision made today beats a perfect decision made 2 years from now by a margin that compounds every single month. The second mechanism is something psychologists call future self-discounting. Smart people are exceptionally good at imagining the future. They can run a mental simulation of exactly what their retirement looks like, what the consequences of debt will be, what happens if they don't start saving until 35. And then they do nothing about it today, because the future self who needs that money feels like a completely different person. Research from Stanford shows that people who feel emotionally disconnected from their future self consistently undersave, regardless of how well they understand the math. Intelligence doesn't fix this. If anything, the ability to vividly imagine a problem can paradoxically reduce the urgency to solve it, because it feels like you've already dealt with it by thinking it through. The third mechanism is income substitution. Smart people get promoted, they earn more, and every time their income goes up, their lifestyle quietly expands to match it. This isn't laziness or irresponsibility, it's a pattern that feels completely rational at every individual decision point. The slightly nicer apartment makes sense because the commute is better. The newer car makes sense because reliability matters. The restaurant habit makes sense because time is valuable now. Each decision is defensible. The sum of them is a savings rate that never moves, regardless of what the salary does. Intelligence makes each justification more convincing, which makes the trap harder to see. The fourth mechanism is the most counterintuitive one: risk aversion disguised as prudence. Smart people are acutely aware of what can go wrong. They know markets crash. They know businesses fail. They know that the friend who made a fortune in real estate also had advantages they didn't, timing they couldn't have predicted, and a risk tolerance they don't share. So, they wait for certainty. That never comes. Keeping money in savings accounts earning 0.5%, because at least it's safe. Avoiding investment decisions, because they can see all the ways those decisions could go wrong. This feels responsible. It feels like the intelligent move. But it's intelligence applied to the wrong question entirely. The question isn't what could go wrong if I invest. The question is, what is the guaranteed cost of doing nothing for another 5 years? And that cost, compounding quietly in the background, is almost always larger than the risk they were trying to avoid in the first place. Here's the reframe that changes everything. None of these are willpower problems. They're not discipline problems. They're not even knowledge problems. They're design problems. The financial system is not designed for people who overthink, delay, justify, or hedge. It's designed for people who automate. The single most powerful financial move available to an intelligent, analytical, high-earning person who can't seem to get traction is to remove themselves from the decision entirely. Automate the investment before the money hits the checking account. Automate the savings transfer on payday. Set the contribution rate once and make changing it require deliberate effort. The goal is to make the right behavior the default, so that intelligence, analysis, and justification never get the chance to interfere. Smart people stay broke, not because they don't know enough. They stay broke because they know just enough to talk themselves out of doing the simple thing. The solution isn't to learn more. It's to decide less, set it up once, make it automatic, and then get out of your own way. Because the version of you that keeps researching the perfect strategy is the most expensive habit you have. If this hit closer to home than you expected, there's a reason for that. Most financial content tells you what to do. Very little of it explains why smart, capable people still struggle to do it. That's what this channel is built around, the psychology behind the numbers, not just the numbers themselves. If that's the kind of content that actually helps you, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.